Okay, I guess I'm gonna try and do some stupid monkey shit here on the Trusty Ape podcast. This is Ape Interrupted, coming live at you from the middle of nowhere, the center of everywhere, in the eye of the storm. I'm gonna try to do the onion of truth. See how this works out for all of us, myself included. I have a sheet I was going to try and share with you, but it probably needs more editing. I'll just read the finer points of the argument, which is my argument for morality v. ethics, and maybe clarification. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of people are definitely going to disagree with me here, so that should be fun. All right, so point one. In my discussion with Snake Was Right, I presented a question. In my discussion, yes. In the discussion. So it was a loaded question, admittedly, and set up with a false equivalence in order to drive at a point, right? And definitely was a point where we missed each other there. Maybe came out of left field the same way on my end. Is it worse? Is it objectively worse for a lesbian to be mistaken for a male, or for a trans girl to be misgendered? So this is actually an ethical dilemma in my view. It's not a question of moral virtue. I think that's uh, a non sequitur. I believe this is an amoral judgment, and there are many points of fact we could address in which we are talking about amoral judgments as if they are moral questions. So that was my point here, with the finer points of what indicates first intentional, an act of intention, in which this is done willingly and for a specific purpose, and whether that act is inherently harmful or potentially harmful. Right. Is it in of itself inherently harmful, or by some dint of perception um, or what have you, potentially harmful, even if unintentionally? All right, morality is a noun. We're at point 3, if you're keeping track. I'm using Oxford English Dictionary to the best of my knowledge here. Principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, or good and bad behavior. Particular system of values and principles of conduct, especially one held by a specified person or society. The extent to which an action is right or wrong. And this is ethics, a noun. Moral principles that govern a person's behavior or conducting of activities, the branch of knowledge that deals with moral principles. All right, so a little bit packed in there, right? Morality in itself are the principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, good and bad, good, evil, etc. Right? It's a binary system. No, I cannot. Oh, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing. And I remove myself from the stream. That's what happens when you mess with things. I'm amazing. I'm doing swimmingly. This is the onion of truth. We're gonna peel back the layers. Smell that stinky goodness. Right, morality. Principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, or good and bad. Ethics. Moral principles, right? Secondary contingent, thingamabobbers, governing person's behavior or conducting of activities. Conducting of an activity. One singular, probably more likely plural. Okay. Very good, very good. And the branch of knowledge dealing with moral principles. Okay, and I have from diffn.com, lots of sources here tonight. Ethics and morals relate to right or wrong conduct. While they are sometimes used interchangeably, they are different. Ethics refer to rules provided by an external source or codes of conduct in workplaces, principles, and religions, referring to an individual's own principles regarding right and wrong. So this sees ethics relating to conduct in external circles or ways that are regulated by kind of social conduct out in the real world, as opposed to what they perceive as individual moral practices. I tend to disagree with that. I think that's a fairly common view, and I do not agree with that. So we'll get into that as we go. And here we have C. This is from dictionary.com. I much prefer this one. Morals refer mainly to guiding principles, whereas ethics refer to specific rules and action. I think that's more to the point, much more concise, much more sensible to my mind, and more along the lines of what I'm going to attempt to describe here. A few questions. Point 4. Is objective or subjective morality more likely the case? And this is something a lot of people are going to continue to debate about for aeons to come, because it's probably not a question that can be rightly answered. Interestingly enough, so let's see. I think I pulled this, shoot, okay. I'll have to find the source for this and throw it in the video, but we have a definition here, probably wiki, objective morality, excuse me. Objective morality states that morality exists in nature. It's how we were programmed. What is subjective morality? Subjective morality says that morals are man-made and vary from person to person. Yeah, I'm not sure where I picked that up from. Slipped on that one. Okay, point 5, universal morality. But again, that's pretty much spot on. Universal morality, another name for objective morality. While there are some nuanced differences, this is me quoting myself, these two are used somewhat interchangeably, also called common moral values. This has to do more with a general consensus, nothing objectively moral or immoral in terms of right or wrong. Excuse me, this is let's give that one a shot. In other words, the social acceptance of behavioral, I don't know what I meant to say here, socially accepted behavior. These things have less to do with what is objectively right or wrong, and more to do with people's subjective sense of fairness, equality, and justice. And as far as we know, these moral principles do not apply to other entities in the universe. It's purely man-made. So, in closing, moral values seem to indicate those shared commonly amongst all or most people. Values inform our moral judgments. We manifest these as our expectations upon others. For example, do unto others as you would have done unto you. However, neither moral values or moral judgments are truly universal. As example, I give this verse taken from ChristianityToday.com. Thank you so much. And this is a quote from an explanation in an article. So this is from the fine publishers of ChristianityToday.com. Quote, slavery is God's means of protecting and providing for an inferior race suffering the curse of Ham from Genesis, or the punishment of Cain, also from Genesis, end quote. So in this sense, slavery is completely morally sound and justified as a means of protecting and providing for an inferior race. As cited in the Bible in the book of Genesis. Point 6, while morals tend to be driven by personal beliefs and values, there are certainly some common morals that most people agree on. And this is cited from, this one was also from Stanford Philosophy. Okay, common moral values. 1, always tell the truth. 2, do not destroy property. 3, have courage. 4, keep your promises. 5, do not cheat. 6, treat others as you want to be treated. 7, do not judge. 8, be dependable. These seem folksy. Sounds good. I don't know if these are all common moral values. This was cherry-picked from an apologetics, an article written by an apologician, whatever you call those guys. Okay. But still fairly common. And do not kill is not in there. We'll get into that. I probably won't go too much longer. I may just split this into, yeah, we may come to a second part. Probably kill this at 15 minutes or so and pick up a little bit later. Kind of coming off the cuff here at the Trusty 8 podcast, just trying to get something done. Sitting here bored at work, and lots going on all the time, every day. Hopefully, I'll be getting together with Kat soon. Kat Cienfuegos. We're supposed to, see, I pronounced it. We're supposed to do the queer questions together. Announcement at some point, hopefully soon. And whatever else I end up doing here, a few things going on. Lots of layers to peel off this onion of truth. Okay, continue on point 6 and various types of ethical and moral values. In the philosophy of ethics, moral anti-realism or moral irrealism is a meta-ethical doctrine that there are no objective moral values or normative facts, usually defined in opposition to moral realism, which holds that there are objective moral values, such that a moral claim may be either true or false. Binary. 2, moral relativism is the view that moral judgments are true or false only relative to some particular standpoint. That's very interesting, huh? For instance, that of a culture or historical period, and that no standpoint is uniquely privileged over all others. Imagine that. Oh no. I hope I'm still going. My screen went to sleep. It looks like I'm recording. Thank Jeebus. 3, situational ethics. A doctrine of flexibility in the application of moral laws according to circumstances. Thank you. And yeah, I think we'll get into situational ethics and how this applies to what's called moral law or moral judgment. Going down the line, this is something that's going to go into my treatise or dissertation or whatever you call those things. It was inevitable. It was going to come up, and it just happened to come up in this conversation with Snake, and I felt that may have been something that was just kind of out of left field, maybe super awkward for anybody listening. It was super awkward for me being the one saying it. So it's by no means a question to be taken literally, but we'll get back to the situational ethics. And the question, is it worse for a lesbian to be mistaken for a biological male or for a transgendered girl to be misgendered? Think about the way this question is worded, right? Words mean things, the way we say words and sequence them together and chronologize and categorize things. It all means something. Something. And we're going to find out what as we peel off these layers from this stinky, rotten onion of truth. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. I know mine's been absolutely fantastic. And with that, I bid you adieu. We'll see you tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day.